Here we go.
Green light.
All right. Well, welcome to the episode 3 of the Coy Pond.
Yep.
Back from the long break, which was quite nice.
Wonderful.
And Colin, you had some vacation time along with the holiday.
Yeah, I took a week plus the Friday before, and that was wonderful. It felt, I think, like 3 months. That was the longest week of my life, but I have no complaints. It was much needed.
That's good. Are you rested and ready to go?
Rested and ready to get back into the Thursday schedule.
Nice. Stuffed yourself with lots of bird and.
Oh yeah. I think there's a couple naps taken, and good time with the bird.
Outstanding.
Yourself?
It was great. Got to food, family, and football, and
oh yeah.
That's about as good as it gets. So
yeah, especially when the Cowboys play on Thanksgiving.
Ooh, always nice.
Can't complain about that.
No complaints here. So, well, we thought we'd start out our segment talking a little bit about suggestions we're getting for improving the podcast and
constructive feedback.
That's right. We certainly, nothing about new hosts or anything like that.
No, they haven't asked for my job yet. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we'd love to get your feedback. You can go out to YouTube and type
comment, like.
Yep.
Make sure to subscribe if it's your first time watching every Thursday.
Definitely click your like. And again, suggestions are welcome. So what are some of the suggestions you've gotten so far?
So far, I've only gotten a few. It's not been too bad. The ones who've suggested know who you are. The first one was volume. I was too quiet, and you were talking very nicely into your mic, so I've done a better job of putting my face in front of it. That was more of a me thing. The first podcast, I think it was a rough start. It was more of a how do I want to say it? I think it was just the jitters, the first one, but we were still figuring out how to have a conversation and keep it flowing a little bit easier while doing this. Not saying it's perfect yet, but it's, I think, improved quite a bit. That was another thing, is not as many pauses and ums, but we're coming with information now, and we're ready for the podcast. And then I think there was more of wanting us to be directed towards the camera
instead
of so much next to each other.
Yep.
Frankly, this table's small enough. I'm not going to sit next to him. I'll look at the camera, but I don't know how much I cared about that one particularly.
Yeah.
Sorry, whoever said that. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Perfect.
How about you? Did you get any?
I did. I got some feedback. One of them was a better background. So
yeah, the white walls are a bit damning sometimes.
It was suggested. You know who you are. To have something like a pond or something that had fish in a pond or.
The logo has been commissioned.
Excellent.
I don't know how long it'll take, but at the very least we'll have the logo. It won't be out. This will get released tomorrow morning on the 30th, but it won't be done by then. But maybe next week. The worst, I'm expecting a couple weeks.
Perfect.
So that's something at least.
So that's in the works. That's great. See, better background, broader topics, but we're kind of going for kind of a guy's show here. These are things we want to talk about. We could certainly highlight some different things, and we did talk about a trip down to Maysville, Kentucky. We talked about a few things that way, but broader topics is something that was brought up.
Maybe we could include more stories. Maybe.
Yeah.
The other thing is, it feels like a good way for both of us to rant about our football teams without really having to yell it.
Yeah.
We did cover stocks and movies, but I guess I get that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the worst thing if there's current events that have any way affect us, but the problem is the big ones right now.
Yeah.
I'm not giving a take on that.
No. We want to stay away from that stuff.
Yeah, I don't.
We're not. We don't want to go down politics road here exactly, right?
No need for that. But if there's other current events, that would come up that were maybe a little bit more cheerful than the dreadful, constant belittlement of social media. And actually, I've got one for you. The kid that apparently did blackface at the Chiefs game is actually Native American, and it was half black, half red, and they only kept the picture from the side that was black.
Oh, really?
So that caught a lot of flack. So there's your current event.
There we go.
Leave it to Chiefs social media.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. It was big media networks.
Was it really?
That were reporting that, and it was ridiculous, and they're dealing with that now.
So it was just kind of bent to whatever they wanted to make the event about, the story.
It was like this side was black, and this side was red for the Chiefs at the Raiders game.
Oh, boy.
And they took the picture this way, so it looked like the kid was in full blackface with an Indian headdress, Native American headdress.
Oh, my.
And, people were commenting, he's taking fisticuffs from both sides of that, but it turns out the kid's Native American, and it was half red, so.
Well, it's interesting that you just made that comment, though, because you said Indian and then changed. But I haven't seen this story, but somebody was telling me that there are actually, like, Native Americans that are complaining that Washington should be changed back to the Redskins.
Yes.
So
there's legitimate groups that I'm aware of, but again, it's like, for as much as I heard that the kid did blackface and it turns out he's Native American, I don't know how much to believe he's Native American now.
Right.
Which I think his mom said it, so kudos. I don't care either way, to be quite frank.
Yep.
But, we'll find some good posts.
There you go.
Maybe not football related, but,
right.
You take everything with a grain of salt regardless. So
that's it.
That's more or less why we haven't gone too in depth on the
those kind
Native
of
American
things.
Stories.
Exactly. That's right. Well, it's a way to dive right into it. Pull us back out of the abyss.
Reel me in.
So, kind of fits in, maybe with the broader topics, but I did get the suggestion for guests, like small segments, like 3-5 minute segments of guests.
Right.
Again, you know who you are. Physical, working out, bodybuilding, and that kind of thing was the suggestion. And we may be able to kind of broaden our topics through the guest line.
I need to figure out how to be able to have people call in, or we could also record it separately and add it in later, and that could be, a segment we put in.
Yep.
I'm personally been pretty lazy about that, but I'm pretty sure it's not hard to incorporate that. It's going to take a little rewiring of the studio, but I think we could figure it out pretty quickly. If physically present isn't an option.
Yep.
And, given certain days, it's not that easy to make work with schedules. So
perfect.
We'll figure something out.
So just to kind of recap, don't forget to click that like button for us. Go out, make comments, recommendations.
All help the video.
We appreciate all the input we can get to
everyone
improve.
That's watched so far, of course.
We thank you for that.
It's actually done a little bit better than I would have assumed out of the gate. So
got a lot of comments.
Not doing bad. Not doing bad. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. All right, well, we're going to roll on talking about the Coy Pond pick from last week.
It would have been nice to start batting 100, but that'd be too easy. We're going to take all of the sportsbooks money, or I am. And this isn't information for you to go gamble. It's clearly, we're 0-1 out of the gate. Bills, Chiefs did not start out what we had hoped. It was prime time. We should have known. They got us.
Violated the sacred rule of prime time.
Yes, we did. And, I should have known, but in the heat of the moment, I was...
You allowed me to suck you into my demented reality of betting, which is clueless.
Well, I wouldn't say that. That over-under I thought was lower than it should have been. Clearly, I'm a moron. Nothing's new. But
I remember
it is what it is.
Watching the game thinking, oh, God.
Yeah, and that was from a couple weeks ago. We're new week, new slate. We're winning all of the bets.
Moving forward.
But 0-1, we'll give one here in a little bit, and we'll go 1-1.
All right, moving on to
Thanksgiving games.
Yeah, Thanksgiving games. What do you take away from that?
First game, Lions, Packers.
Shocking.
Packers controlled that game from the first play with that however many yard bomb to Watson, I
think. Who just back in the lineup, right?
Yeah, and from there on out, it felt like the Lions never really had a fighting chance to get back into that game.
It didn't make sense to me, really.
No.
Every team has a game like that or two.
Yes.
Where you just, what the hell happened here?
It doesn't click. It doesn't go anywhere according to plan.
Detroit at home on Thanksgiving with Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you even anybody can lose anytime.
And shout out to Jason for the moon theory. I was unaware they were 0-11 with the waxing gibbous, whatever.
Brilliant.
Whatever fucking thing it was in that night.
It's what, 14-0?
Yeah, so
is that what it was?
They've lost every one, so they're 0-14 or 0-11. But
so the moon
you
is...
got the right concept. The moon fucked them on Thanksgiving again. And
unbelievable.
I can't believe it, but trends are trends for a reason.
It's only stupid if it doesn't work, right?
Amen to that.
So,
but the game did hit the over at least. That was the exciting part. Minimum. I think if I remember, all 3 games did. Or
did they?
The third one was at least close because after that it was Cowboys,
Commanders.
Yep. That was a
blowout game.
Something to 10.
Ended up getting. Well, remember before the game we talked about, will this be the end of Ron Rivera?
Right.
And it actually ended up being the end of Jack Del Rio.
Yeah.
So we had the wrong coach, but the right idea.
Yeah, it was in there. We knew it wasn't going to be Bieniemy because he's over there now too.
He's
right?
there, yeah. And I think he's going to be the head coach next.
Yeah.
So
it feels like Ron. He's had a good coaching career, and I don't think he's really been given a good team at any point. But I don't know how much that's on him or management, given Panthers to Commanders, and there might have been someone else in between there. I don't think so.
I think that was it. Yeah.
So shout out to him. But
shout out to Deron Bland for setting the NFL record for 6 interception return touchdowns in a season.
Yeah.
So
that's
awesome.
Crazy. That was
the football and the cleats are on the way to Canton. So there we go.
Happy for him. That's a crazy stat to have and still have 6 games left, 5 games left.
Yeah.
5, 6, but whatever it is.
An amazingly humble dude, so it was really cool to see that happen for him. So
for sure.
Awesome. And then the late game?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
I was trying to remember that myself. Was the Niners at Seattle?
Oh, Niners that's
San Fran, Seattle.
Yeah, San Fran, Seattle.
And San Fran 31-13.
Yeah,
blew them out.
That was about on par.
So
Lions fucked my parlay that day. Ruined my Thanksgiving. That's all right. Nothing you can do about that. I don't have much to comment about on 49ers in Seattle.
Yeah, me neither.
It always feels like Seattle's a little bit better than they are, and because last year they were.
Right.
This year they're in that zone, but they're towards the back end of it, I would say.
I'd say they're kind of sliding.
Yes. They were front runners for the what the fuck team, and now they're like, okay, so they are who we thought they would be or should be. But, I had nothing to talk about there. Prime time. I think that over hit 2. I think it was like a 43, and it was like 41 total points.
Okay.
Or some.
Yeah, 44 total points.
Yeah, I think the over-under, depending on when you got it, might have hit.
Got you.
But,
and then, of course, we had the first Black Friday game.
Yeah, Jets-Dolphins.
Kind of a boring game, but at least we got football on another day, right?
What are we doing with a Black Friday game at 3 o'clock? Why not either put it at noon or put it at 8?
True.
Everyone's got fucking Saturday off. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think it was a network thing again because Amazon got that game because they didn't get the Thanksgiving games they usually get or would have gotten. And then because of that, they're dipping into college football games Friday night and somehow Saturday. So I think it had to be between a certain time, so they went the latest of the window they could do it.
Gotcha.
Still what the fuck, but,
right.
Networks are networks. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't. Makes me mad.
So the Sunday slate, we'll just kind of run down through these, and anything you want to comment on. I'll take the first one. Atlanta beating New Orleans. So, strange as could be, right now, Atlanta's winning that division, and if the playoffs started tomorrow, they would host a playoff game.
Did you see that it's still statistically possible that the Panthers could host a game?
Really?
With how there's still enough weeks left that if they ended up tying and a few other things happened, they could be hosting a playoff game.
That's insane. We had Pittsburgh at Cincy.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh winning that one.
Burrow's out.
Yeah,
so
Cincy's kind of done.
Steelers look great without Matt Canada.
Yeah,
so
new offensive coordinator. They discovered the Pat Freiermuth, the tight end.
Yeah, he's back.
Who had an incredible game.
Yeah, he did.
Carolina at Tennessee.
Both teams, no slight to them, don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Tampa at Indy.
Indy won that, didn't they?
Indy won that 27-20.
Yeah, okay.
Great to see Jonathan Taylor back for a couple games, and
he's out again this week.
Now he's got a dislocated thumb.
Yeah.
Finger or something.
Hate to see that. But
Good Lord.
As a Zach Moss owner, you love to see it.
Yes, and there's many of you out there like that, I'm sure.
I don't know what to think about the Colts, but I'm glad Baker's doing well enough.
Yeah.
And seeing the Colts do well is nice, too.
Yep.
A good switch up.
New England at the Giants.
That was
boring-ass game. Giants 10, New England 7. Ugh.
Hate that.
Next.
yeah, to say the least.
And there was some chatter from Bill Belichick this week about if Kraft wants to move on,
I'm listening.
kind of acknowledging that. So
that Chargers-Patriots game this week scares the shit out of me, but we'll get into that later.
Yep. Jacksonville at Houston, great matchup.
Great. That was an exciting game.
Yeah, Jags 24, Houston 21. Great game.
That's about on par for where you'd think they'd both be.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think the Jaguars should be a pretty good team this year.
Yep.
The Texans are hot.
Yep.
Stroud looks amazing.
They keep rolling. And
yeah, I was going to say, for what it's worth, that game ended about where you'd expect it to, where it was back and forth, and Jaguars got it.
And they continue to make the Panthers look stupid for taking Bryce Young.
Yeah. So the owner talked about that today or yesterday, and they all basically just said we wanted to go with whoever was still there after the other one.
Cleveland at Denver. Denver continues to roll. Two hot teams, really.
As a Chargers fan, I don't mind it. It's nice to see Denver doing well after what last year was. But I don't see the Browns hanging in there at this point with no quarterback.
Seems like it took an effect on that game for sure. And
it's hard to motivate a team.
Yeah. And Denver, I think is that 4 or 5 straight?
5, I think.
So, something about that. The Rams at the Cardinals. Rams blow them out 37-14.
Kyler Murray's back, baby.
Yeah, he's back in there. Williams is back at running back and had a huge day, 140-some yards. Kansas City at Vegas, typical expected outcome on that, although early on I think that was 14-0 Raiders.
Yes, it was. Raiders had a huge lead and kind of blew it, which, I mean, the end result's what I expect, but how they got there I can't believe, honestly.
Yep.
But good for the Chiefs.
Yep. Probably, in my opinion, the game of the weekend was Buffalo at Philly.
Oh, that was a crazy ending to that game.
Phenomenal game.
Yes.
Of course, I was rooting for the Eagles to lose, but I got to give them their due. That team just finds a way to win.
It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. I mean, I get it was at Philly, but, I mean, for the Gabe Davis miss towards the end there, they could have won the game, right? Was that the overtime?
They could have won it there.
Right.
And overtime.
So I don't know what to think about the Bills right now. It feels like a mess, and it feels like it's only getting messier.
They just can't close. The defense can't close out a game.
No.
So
Von Miller, I think, was limited.
Yeah.
Has he been I think he's been playing on limited snaps, so it's I don't know what to think about that team.
Yeah, I agree. Ravens at the Chargers, 2010.
Yep, that's about what you expect. I think I heard a bunch of cheering early on for the Ravens, and that was at San Diego, L.A. So
yep. I'm
over it.
What are you going to do, right?
I've got some stats, though, I'd like to rant about the situation over at San Diego, if you don't mind.
That means a whale. Never mind.
So,
let's hear it.
I've seen a lot of shit about Justin Herbert, about how he hasn't been able to close out games, win games, etc. Mostly it's ESPN bullshit, so I don't think about it too much. And you can compare Rivers to Herbert all you want. Looking at the stats from Rivers' last 3 seasons to Justin Herbert's last 3 seasons, quite frankly, they're damn near identical. And I can't remember most of Rivers' career off the top of my head. So I'd say at that point it's a stalemate, right?
Yeah.
But then you remember Rivers had LT, Ryan Matthews, Melvin Gordon when he wasn't a bitch for a little bit there, and then Darren Sproles, a few other pretty decent running backs that ran the fucking ball.
Some talent around there, right?
Now we've got Eckler. Justin Herbert has outrushed Eckler the last 2 weeks, 2 out of the last 3 weeks.
I would say, from what I just looked at.
Yeah, it's something stupid. And Eckler's been fumbling and had a couple problems. Kudos to him for wanting more money, because I hope they ship him to a different team. Mike Williams has been out. Palmer was out. They just got Guyton back. Quentin Johnson's a bust. Keenan Allen, God bless him. He is a legend. Put him in the Hall of Fame as soon as he fucking retires. How he's done it with maybe a couple missed seasons here and there, incredible, honestly. The fact they even put points on the board blows my fucking mind. Props to Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore on the Cowboys and Chargers. Across the board, I'd say he's been a consistently good offensive coordinator with probably some mishaps here and there, but statistically wise, I'd say he's good.
Yeah.
Now, Staley, on the other hand, is on par for the last 3 coaches. They're giving Staley shit, but when you look at his numbers, Mike McCoy 4 seasons with the Chargers, Anthony Lynn 4 seasons with the Chargers, Brandon Staley so far, 27-37 was Mike McCoy, 33 and 31 was Anthony Lynn, and Brandon Staley is 23 and 22 currently. I don't know if that's including playoffs or not, so if it's off a couple games here and there, sue me.
Close enough.
But all of those records are kind of just meh.
Yeah.
They're not great, and they're not terrible. It's enough to be considered an NFL team that misses the playoffs every year by a few games in either direction.
Right.
So then I was like, okay, so if it can't be Staley, and frankly, I don't even know if I could blame him if he's doing just as great as the other two did. Each one of them had a good first season, an okay second season, and they shit the bed the third and the fourth, or, spread that out. Their mess season was the third. So then you look at Tom Telesco. In his career, the Chargers are 79 and 83. Once again, it's just meh.
Right.
So then, I'll have these numbers up here because this is where it gets interesting. The GMs, the last 5 GMs going back to 1987, have had winning percentages of 47.6, 59.4, 40.6, 42.6, and 42.6, with an average tenure of somewhere between 7 and 8 years. Some hit 11. There was 1 and 2 in there for 2 or 3 years.
That's the GMs.
GMs.
Okay.
They all suck. The Chargers have been consistently meh since 1987, with, I think, an AFC championship and a Super Bowl loss in 88 or 89.
To the Niners, yeah.
To the Niners.
Yep.
So we've had one season we got that far with a couple AFC titles. Spanos has got to be the problem.
Yeah.
I can't deal with the coaching crap at this point because they all even out.
I think that was Bobby Beathard was the GM when it was the Chargers and the Niners in the Super Bowl.
In the 90s.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
But Spanos.
So it's got to be Spanos. Spanos bought the team in 1984. 1987 was probably the first GM he hired because that's when, it switched.
Yeah.
And they've consistently, if you average out all the percentages up here, comes out to, just looking at it notionally, it's probably like 46.5. And the only reason anybody's thinking about it now is because they've got the flashy players. Justin Herbert, who's good. Keenan Allen, who's good. Khalil Mack, who will go down as a great defensive Charger at this point because he's either leading the league in sacks or tied with T.J. Watt or half a sack behind. Not the point. Joey Bosa, who's always hurt.
Yep.
Derwin James, who's having a bad year.
Yep.
Their secondary, which is ass. And, Slater, who's looking amazing. Kudos to him for trying to protect Justin Herbert.
Yep.
But it's just consistent meh with more flashy names, so now they're getting more attention.
Yep.
This team has not changed since 1987, it looks like. With every 5 years they hit a spike and somehow, they get a playoff spot and then blow it. So the Chargers' curse is nothing more than just the Spanos family. I am convinced. Just doing some research, there's too many trends that line up the exact same for every year of a coach mixed with every year of a GM.
All right.
That's all I'm going to say. But I had to get that off my chest because I agree Brandon Staley should get fired, but let's take out Telesco and make the next one do better in 3 years, and if he doesn't work, let's can him.
Yep.
Because out of those GMs that are shown right here, only 3 of them went 9. There were 2 years, 3 years tenure, 9, 10, and 11. Let's get back to that 2 to 3 year tenure until someone actually does some shit. Similar to like what the Lions did. They got a new GM. They did great. The Bears not so much, but, any win is a step in the right direction for them. But I'm convinced it's the Spanos family. Long story short.
Well,
mixed with Tom, who I like, but if you look at these first-round draft picks, a lot of them did well, a lot of them didn't do well. And I think Joey Bosa's good. He just gets hurt a lot.
Yep.
And I have to say him up in the suite for the Chargers-Ravens game was not a good look, based on what I've seen on Chargers Twitter, but had to get that off my chest because it just I keep seeing they're like, well, the quarterback, and it's like, well, what the fuck? Phillip Rivers was the quarterback for a good amount of these percentages.
Right.
Nothing changed. Herbert, and they're both great quarterbacks,
Yeah, right.
Even Rivers never won a Super Bowl, and that'll be the reason he probably doesn't get in the Hall of Fame. But it's like we're doing the same shit over and over again.
Exactly right.
I rest my case. I'm sure it's much harder than that regardless, but it is insanity to do the same thing, expecting different results. And it's clearly been Spanos' plan for whatever the fuck 23 minus 87 is in the years. That's, 34 years?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Crazy shit.
Sue me. I'm a little pissed off right now. I got myself fired up. But it's fucking ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care that he's the owner, but it's like, why did we have A.J. Smith for 10 years, and he had a 59.4% win rate, and then we have Telesco for 9, and it's just below 50.
Right.
50 won't get you anywhere.
Nope.
And I'm not saying they always have to do that well, but as long as the average is above 55, I don't know.
Yeah.
I give up.
No,
That's my spiel on it. I had to get that off my chest because, frankly, at this point, I want them to lose out, get a new coach and new GM. Then we'll see where it is and give them a couple years to rebuild, if you will.
makes a ton of sense.
I rest my case.
So it's quite a segue because you're talking about the owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to segue to the Cowboys to talk about the owner.
Yep.
In a similar kind of way, for a similar kind of period of time, which is not shocking for how similar these two teams have been over the years.
Yes.
So Jerry Jones finally announces, a week ago, that he's going to put former coach Jimmy Johnson into the Ring of Honor. Keep in mind that this great coach who won 2 Super Bowls with Dallas before owner Jerry ran him out of town in 1994,
right?
I think it was. So has been in the Hall of Fame, and has been in the Hall of Fame for a year or two now.
Yeah.
And you would think the team's Ring of Honor would put him in long before that would happen. Yeah. Typically, that's how it goes.
That's how it should go.
Not with Jerry Jones. So the Cowboys have not had a Super Bowl appearance since 1996. Cowboy fans call this the Jimmy Johnson Ring of Honor curse. That the team that won the Super Bowl in 96 was theoretically, in actuality, Jimmy Johnson's team, even though Barry Switzer coached it.
Right.
So that's why we go back to that date. We count that as Jimmy because that was Jimmy's team. Not since have they been to the Super Bowl. And Jerry had many, 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 many years to put him in the Ring of Honor.
Right.
What does Jerry do? He skips him and puts in DeMarcus Ware.
I saw that.
DeMarcus Ware is a great player. He did not win a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. He went somewhere else to win the Super Bowl.
Broncos for the Super Bowl 50.
And yet Jerry puts him in the Ring of Honor for the Cowboys before arguably the second greatest coach in Cowboys history. You could even argue he's, for doing so much in a short time, you could even put him in an argument with Tom Landry.
Yeah.
Now, you'll never convince me of that.
No. That's something for a different time.
Let's not shatter the windows and cause the earth to turn dark right now. But thank God that Jerry Jones finally got over his petty bullshit with Jimmy and his ego, narcissistic, pain in the ass, goofball motherfucker. The Cowboys, I think, have a shot now. He's lifting that off of them. And fans everywhere are rejoicing that at least we can get that,
milestone.
Yeah,
road.
that superstitious thing off our backs because there's something to it.
There is.
So, anyway, very excited about that.
Blacked out for a second.
I did, yeah, you know the feeling. but 30 years, kind of along the same lines, a stupid owner, different things with each of them, but stupid nonetheless. The real cool thing about this is we are lucky enough to be going to the actual game where the induction will take place, which we had no idea when we booked
lucky time.
Lions at the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, that already starts at, lifting the superstition. Yes. It's like, wait a minute. Fan bases everywhere are rejoicing. Wait, it's a game we're already going to be at? Yep. What? Oh, So I'm telling you, I'm not getting too excited because I see the way the Eagles play, but I feel like something is in the air.
The clouds are parting a little bit.
So I'll just say that I'm not going to drink the whole jug of Kool-Aid just yet, but it does get you fired up.
It's nice to at least have that behind you now.
Have it behind you. So anyway,
yeah.
So
yeah.
Spanos, Jones.
Both our teams have curses.
And
usually the Chargers are only a few years behind the Cowboys, so with all these teams selling to, groups and whatnot now, I'm hoping Spanos is getting old, the kids don't want it, or maybe one of the kids sees the writing on the wall, something.
There we go.
Because, most of these owners have owned the teams for so long, the value's gone up exponentially to a point where it's almost stupid not to sell it and just not worry about shit the rest of your life.
Yeah, what do you do there, right?
Yeah. Because Panthers and Broncos recently sold, the Commanders were forced to sell.
Yeah.
It's stepping in the right direction, so we'll see. And I could just be blowing smoke and someone will comment with some other stat that kind of goes against what I'm saying. But, not all my numbers were right, but they definitely send the same message regardless of, the exact decimal point.
So this segment of Pissed Off, sponsored, not sponsored, is brought to you by Big's Pumpkin Seeds. Delightful this time of year and all round. Simply salted, tasty, and 10 grams of protein. So we thank them for sponsoring, not sponsoring, our Hell Rant Rave and Bitch Fest. So
I guess, that's a way to do it. Sponsoring, not sponsoring. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Nice thing to add. I saw you dip down with the pumpkin seeds. I was like, what is he about to do? Jesus.
In the pond, in the laboratory pond, we're still experimenting.
I'll have to come up with a better name for that, but that'll be a week-to-week thing.
Yeah.
I like it, though. I like the not sponsoring.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
You want to hit your pick for this week?
Right. So we've got Cowboys, Seattle at Cowboys, right?
Yep.
I think it's at Cowboys. Yeah.
At Cowboys.
Right now, the red zone defense for the Seahawks is terrible. Rushing defense, I'm pretty sure, is terrible.
Good.
Tony Pollard, the last couple weeks, has gotten his touchdown, gotten some yards receiving, rushing. I fully believe that man is back. That being said, I have put all of my eggs in one basket for this one, with taking, at the moment, I don't know what it'll be tomorrow because that's when this will come out and lines move, so don't fuck me here. But last I saw, Tony Pollard's rushing yards were like 50.5, 51.5. It was moving a little bit. I like Tony Pollard's overs at rushing yards.
All right.
I like his over in rushing receiving yards, which I think was like 80-something, maybe a little less. It might have been 80.5. Yeah, we'll go with 80.5. I like his over rushing yards there. I'm liking Tony Pollard prop picks right now. I like him to get a touchdown. I would even fuck the one touchdown, take him for 2 touchdowns because that was plus 360 when I checked, which is incredibly low. But I sprinkled that a little bit, not going to lie, just in case. I could see that working well. Now, they'll need him back going forward, and this will probably end up being the game, in my opinion, that he's fully back. I think Dowdle was questionable earlier today or at some point today. I was checking that out.
Yep.
So even if Dak and the other running back, do they have another
Probably Dowdle will. It looks like he's still going to play. Last thing that I read from the Cowboy insiders, who of course I'm really connected to, but
of course,
Mike Fisher reported that Dowdle will likely suit up this week.
So I like Tony Pollard props given that. Their Seahawks rushing defense in general isn't crazy. So I think what will happen is even if the Cowboys get up early, that leads to rushing in the second half.
Yeah.
That's a safe bet in my book.
Yeah.
And, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But that's what I like. Of course, taking Jake Ferguson anytime touchdown, CD Lamb to get so many yards.
Yeah.
All decent picks. I'm not doubling with Brandon Cooks. God bless him, but he's a bit of a wild card right now.
He is.
He'll either get 3 touchdowns for 150 or
0.
1 reception for 10 yards.
Yep, you're right.
So I'm not as confident with him, but the other 2, Jake and CD Lamb, also like nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Not dabbling with the Seahawks. I don't know what the fuck's going on over there.
Yeah, I mean, Kenneth Walker's out, so the backfield is kind of a mess, and Zach Carbonet, what's his name?
Charbonnet.
Yeah, Charbonnet has not quite.
He's not bad, but he's not putting up numbers that I'm confident in. It's prime time. The under probably hits. We're not doing that big today.
47.5 over under. Cowboys by 9 right now.
Yeah, that 9.5 moved quite a bit. I'd probably tend to do the under just because it's prime time. I don't know if you have a inkling on what pick you want to go with.
I think under.
You want to try the under?
I'm going to stay under prime time. So
official Coy Pond pick of the week.
Yep.
Under 47.5.
Yep. So Cowboys want to get up on them early, and then just like you said, run the ball a lot.
And that's the thing with these games is there's more rushing than you think. It goes quicker.
Yep.
The defenses play harder. I mean, the Cowboys don't really have anything to prove, but I don't think the Seahawks have an offense that can really keep up with it.
Agree.
So we'll see.
I hope that's the way it goes.
That's my synopsis on looking at it.
Yep.
But I was wrong about the Bears-Vikings, which was ugly as hell.
Yep. That's a hard one to pick anyway.
Yeah, I should have known, but that's all I've got for picks.
All right. Well, let's hit just a couple quick movies.
Yeah.
Real brief, and one last sponsorship, and then we'll get out of here.
Perfect.
So I had not seen these movies before. Colin had seen them. Another buddy of mine, Omar, he had seen them both too. Sicario. If you haven't seen Sicario 1, which was originally in 2015, Sicario 2, which is called Day of the Soldado. Highly recommend them both. Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin.
Excellent.
They're fantastic movies about the Mexican drug cartels.
Yep.
And very, very entertaining.
Good movies.
So highly recommend both of those.
I would say not for the faint of heart, but if you like that sort of thing, they're magnificent. And Emily Blunt,
right?
She's great in that too.
Yep.
Surprisingly, I wouldn't have guessed it, but good on them. Both great movies.
For sure. So our last little shout out, sponsorship, not sponsorship. It's a new wine bar that opened in Centerville.
Okay.
Called Meridien. For those of you that know the Centerville area, it's where Sweeney's Seafood used to be.
Okay.
But they have a wine tasting coming up on December 12th. And just anytime you want to go there, they're offering brunch on Saturdays and Sundays at 11 o'clock. And highly recommend going out there and seeing those folks. Meridien. So great place. I was hoping I had a little bit of information here, but
I can find it.
Don't. Oh, so Matt and Rhonda are the owners.
Hell yeah.
And definitely go check it out and tell them the Coy Pond podcast sent you. So
we'll figure out the sponsorship later.
Yeah. So sponsor, no sponsor.
Sponsor, no sponsor.
Yep.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else?
I think that's it.
Wrap it up. Well.
Yes, sir.
In that case, appreciate everyone watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I think we'll see you next week.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Coy out.